about excessive abdominal fat that, we all are aware of it, right? In ourselves, in other people, it's there. And a lot of things we have been told to do about it, like eat less, exercise more, it's just nonsense. The story actually goes way deeper, and it is not really about the excessive fat, but it's really about the fact that as we grow, we have more white fat, which is what is in this abdominal fat, than brown adipose tissues or brown fat cells. You see, these white fat cells that makes up a lot of these abdominal fat have no mitochondria. They have very big fat lipids that pushes our cells, that pushes the nucleus, right? So much so that they take up so much space, and they have no mitochondria. And because they have no mitochondria, they cannot really be used for energy to eat or for useful work in our systems. So, and you've all have had jet lag before, and you know how that feels when you're jet lag, when you go to, from one geography to another location, right? And this is what is really going on at the very fundamental level, this disorder of time, but on a daily basis, more like a groundhog day of missed time, or what is called circadian mismatch, right? And the other thing is, if you see babies, right, newborn babies, they're so full of fat. But what they have that we don't have is that thing called brown adipose tissue. And this brown adipose fat, they have loads of mitochondria, right? And mitochondria have something that is called UCP1, uncoupled protein 1. And this uncoupled protein 1 generate, right? It leaks protein to generate it, not to make ATP, not for work, but generally to make it. And I've talked about in my previous post, which you can check. And this process of it generation also involved with metabolic order in terms of how our body makes fat, it stores fat, use energy, use fat handling, right? And fat adaptation, right? But as we age, we don't have these brown fat, or better, they get silenced, right? We don't have much of them. So we have so much of white adipose tissue or white fat cells, which doesn't have mitochondria, right? And so what can you do about it so that you can begin to have more of this brown adipose fat? Well, you have to begin to adapt yourself to the environmental signal, the seasonality. Like in summer, we have more sun, right? You have to begin to take control of your life from sunrise to sunset, getting the signal, the ambient temperature in the morning. And if you have excessive fat that you want to burn, then you have to really get the sunrise plus the cold, right? And then layer that after sunrise exposure, an hour, layer that with high quality protein breakfast. And I'm not going to go too much into that, right? So cold exercise. And exercise, after it's just the downstream of having proper light entrainment, right? Getting the sunrise in your eyes and in your skin, and catching the UVA and UVB throughout the day, which only get activated, synthesized in the skin, right? And exercise come later, right? Mid-afternoon, very early afternoon, between 4:30, 5 o'clock, right? And you don't need to do crazy exercise, just short burst of exercise, what is called high intensity interval training. You don't need to exercise more than 5-10 minutes, lifting heavy weight, sprinting. And then you need to also apply what is called circadian rhythm fasting, or early time restriction feeding. So you have to have a very early window in which you eat that is synced to daytime or daylight, and 3 to 4 hours before bedtime, no feeding. So you have approximately 16 hours when you don't eat at all. And of course, that also have nuance and context. I wouldn't recommend a person who is pregnant or a very busy mom to do that. There are nuances to that. I'm not going to go into that today. But what I want to say is that everything you have been told about weight management, about abdominal excessive fat is wrong. It's not really about the fat. It's about the fact that you have so much of the white fat and zero of the brown adipose tissue or the brown fat that have lots of mitochondria. And when they are on, they burn fat, right? And you can even burn fat when you are sleeping. And that's the key here. And go to my previous post and read more on that. And if you want to work with me directly, go to my bio and, apply from there, or just send me a DM and let's get talking.